Check, check, check. Yeah, baby. I'm starting now. All right, that was me just talking to my wife. Hello, hello. It is Friday, or no, sorry, it's not Friday. It's Wednesday, which is not one of the days that I was planning on live streaming. So why did I hop on live today? Because I did a stream yesterday, and unbeknownst to me, my OBS, I guess, like bugged out. My audio box over here was still showing that it was getting signal from my mic, but for some reason it wasn't receiving it in the software. So I recorded like 40 minutes with no audio. So I privated that, and I'm gonna talk about a lot of the same stuff as I did last night here, and we're just gonna do it today because whatever, that's fine. And I'm still gonna do. I'm still gonna go live tomorrow, which is Thursday. So excuse me. I have my coffee in my Harry Potter mug. And my Coke. My Pepsi. All right. The first thing I want to talk about, and again, I talked a lot about this stuff yesterday, so I'm going to kind of be repeating myself, but I don't really care, was something that I think was really cool that happened in the world of competitive Pokemon, which was that Wolf Glick won the European National Championships, and I think it was the largest Pokemon tournament that there's ever been. And he, breaks his own record again for like most national wins or whatever. I believe he has the most nationals wins. I'm not 100% sure on that. I know he has the most regional wins. I think he has like 10 now. And I just think it's really cool that, like, and I'm talking about Pokemon VGC. It shows that even though there's some luck involved in Pokemon, right? Like, if you land a burn or whatever, if you can double protect, yada yada. It does show that there's a huge amount of skill involved. That one person can be so dominant in the sport. I think is really telling and is really cool. It's really cool to watch. And his videos, by the way, if you haven't watched any of what's this channel called? Wolfie. Let's see. It's Wolfie VGC. Yeah, if you haven't watched his videos, I highly recommend watching his YouTube videos. They're so good. They explain everything. They go into such detail. He has custom graphics. Like, I got into Pokemon VGC just from watching his videos, and it's been so much fun to play. And then someone else I wanted to shout out was this girl Lucky Wolf. She live streams on Twitch, and then she also has 2.9 thousand subscribers on YouTube. And I learned about this from this video right here, and she does a really great breakdown of like this championship match with Wolf, and I really love her videos. She makes great content. I love watching her. She uses like unique teams in Pokemon VGC, which I think is really cool. And she wins a lot, and she's up at higher ranks using interesting teams, which I think is fun to watch. And she just does a really good job of explaining the team and explaining what she's doing and stuff. I find her very entertaining, and I feel like she's like, not that many people know about her. And but yeah, Lucky Wolf. Shout out to Lucky Wolf. All right, so that's that. But the main thing I wanted to talk about today, actually no. Before we get into that, I want to talk about some of the new things I added to my collection. So I got some new Funko Pops. So I'm going to show those real quick. So this is my Dialga and my Palkia, the controllers of space and time. I'm a huge Pokemon nerd, and it is so cool to have these in the collection. I love them. They're heavy. They're made of vinyl. They're really cool. Oh, I almost forgot to turn on my light again today. Hold on. There we go. Now I'm not in the dark anymore. But the one I just added was this one right here. Well, let me make sure I can still see my volume thing. Yeah, okay. Yeah, the one I just added was this one right here. And my wife is really good at like finding deals and stuff, and she saw that this was gonna go on sale at Target, and it was only like, I think it was less than $30. It was like 20 something dollars, but usually it's like 40 or 50. Um, so yeah, now I have this, and I have both of them, and I really liked Pokemon. What was it? It was Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. I thought those were really good Pokemon games. I know some people didn't like them that much. I liked them, and they were fun. And it's cool to have these Funko Pops in the collection. I also got Gambit here. This is the focus. There we go. This is the Gambit from Deadpool and Wolverine. So it's basically the Channing Tatum Gambit, which I think is pretty cool. So nice to add that one. I have another Gambit, but this one's the one from the movie, and I really like what he's doing with his little cards there. And then just because I always love showing these, this is my Sentinel. I'm actually missing one Jumbo Funko that I have right now, which is the Celestial. So I have my Sentinel, and I have my Galactus, Marvel's best villain, both right here on the table. And I absolutely love these things. I love these Jumbo Funkos are so good, and they've done such a good job at choosing which ones to make. And my Atrocitus that I assembled recently of the McFarlane toys. But anyway, the main thing I want to talk about in this live is what I think are these are just recommendations for DC reading for people that want to get into DC and want to start, like, most of the stuff is starting off like right post Crisis on Infinite Earths. And this is the part that got cut out of the live that I did yesterday. So that's why I'm kind of just like, I don't know if I'm going to go for an hour today, maybe just 40 to 45 minutes. But I do think this is, it's good to know this stuff. So starting off with DC, we have the Silver Age and the Bronze Age. So I have the Silver Age omnibuses. I think almost every Silver Age DC omnibus, right? Flash, Green Lantern, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Justice League. I have Adam Strange. There's a couple I didn't get the Legion of Superheroes Silver Age books because I'm not super interested in Legion of Superheroes, but you have this stuff, and this is when you get the characters that are going to be part of the comics going forward. Like, this is when you get Barry Allen Flash, and what's another one that comes around in the Silver Age? I'm trying to think. Oh, Hal Jordan, Green Lantern, staples of these characters. That's when you first get them. And then you have the Bronze Age. And I have almost every Bronze Age omnibus as well. These are a little bit easier to read, honestly, if you're into comic books. If you're into classic comics, it gets easier to read as you go up an era. So the Justice League, I'm trying to think what I'm missing. Batgirl Bronze Age Volume 2. I only have Volume 1, and I'm missing like Swamp Thing. But besides that, I think I have every Bronze Age omnibus as well. There may be some other ones that I'm missing, but I don't have Teen Titans Bronze Age. But I've been reading my Bronze Age omnibus, my Justice League Bronze Age omnibus, and my general thoughts on it are that it's cool to see the first appearances of some characters, and the writing's a little bit better than Silver Age, so but it's still very wordy. And in the first uh, here's a specific example. In the first volume, the Justice League Bronze Age Volume 1, one of the authors is like really obsessed with like global warming. And don't get me wrong, I don't think there's anything wrong with like wanting to protect the planet and stop, and make people aware of this stuff and everything else like that. But like every single issue that author writes is always about that, and it's like too much. And I'm kind of going off on a tangent here, but my point is the Silver Age material and the Bronze Age material for DC, there is some good stuff in here still that I think is worth reading. I really love Dick Dillon's art on the Justice League. On the three Justice League omnibuses, it's mostly Dick Dillon's art. I think he deserves way more credit. I think way more people should. I mean, I actually really love his art style. So I don't know why Dick Dillon isn't a bigger name than he is, because he drew Justice League for a long time, and I think he did a great job doing it. But I think where DC, all this to say, I think where DC finally gets like really good, where it really starts to get like heavily competitive with what Marvel was doing, was after Crisis on Infinite Earths. So you had the Silver Age and the Bronze Age where, excuse me, where things were kind of disconnected, and there was multiple Earths, a lot of different universes, and there's the Earth 1 version of a character and the Earth 2 version of a character, and you had the older classic like Golden Age version of a character and the Silver Age version of a character, and everything else like that, right? And the Justice Society wasn't on the same Earth as the Justice League, and it was convoluted. That's what it was. It was convoluted. Not that there wasn't some good material then, which is why I brought out my Silver Age and my Bronze Age omnibus, because I really do like that material, and I think it's important in its own way. But when you get to Crisis on Infinite Earths, I think, to be honest, I think what Marvel was doing in the Silver Age and Bronze Age was leagues and bounds, or leaps and bounds ahead of what DC was doing, and because Marvel Bronze Age is like, Chris Claremont's X-Men, which is so much better than the Bronze Age Justice League. Now, again, I love my Bronze Age Justice League book, and I'm not knocking that really, but I'm just saying, like, X-Men was on a different level than that. But anyway, Crisis on Infinite Earths happens. I have the first issue of Crisis on Infinite Earths. Right here, signed by George Perez. So, first of all, I think this is one of the best. I think this is one of the best DC events, and George Perez is one of my favorite all-time creators. Like, I may even put him in like my top 3. I don't know. He might be on my Mount Rushmore of comic book creators as a writer and as an artist. Coffee break. So, I'm just super happy to have a George Perez signature in my collection. And this is Crisis on Infinite Earths, issue 1. It's a wraparound cover. Something George Perez was really well known for was drawing a lot of characters and a lot of detail into his artwork. Like, no one could fit more superheroes onto a panel than George Perez could. It's really amazing. This is Pariah here, and he has to. So what's happening in this event? All the other universes are getting wiped out, and Pariah is going from universe to universe, witnessing the end of each universe. Now, I'm not going to go and explain the entire story of Crisis on Infinite Earths. I do have the deluxe hardcover. This is how I read it. But the monitors involved, the anti-monitors involved. As we know, the anti-monitor and monitor were two of the first beings ever created in the DC universe. Look at that, we got Joker there and stuff. This deluxe hardcover is the perfect way to buy this and read this if you want to read Crisis on Infinite Earths. And it's just filled with beautiful George Perez art. You got Barry Allen Flash. You've got the monitor right there. Like I said, Pariah. All these covers were great too. I would like to go back and get every issue of Crisis on Infinite Earths. That'd be a cool set of like the original comics to have. But yeah, this is really great. But what this does is it says, okay, now we just have one universe, right? We've killed off every other universe. We've brought characters from those universe that we wanted to keep into this one universe, and everybody's in the same place now. Everybody, we have our they get rid of some characters. They get rid of Barry Allen Flash. That's a spoiler for Crisis on Infinite Earths, but this is a really long. This thing is really old now, and so now we have Wally West Flash, and they do they do a few other things. They kind of relaunched Superman. I'm trying to remember, what did they do to Batman in Crisis on Infinite Earths? Batman's one of these characters that has kept a lot of his history from the very beginning. I don't know why, but but Superman, you have Man of Steel. You get the new Teen Titans, right? Which is George Perez takes that book with Marv Wolfman, and I think it's really amazing and really important. You get a relaunch of Wonder Woman. They kind of redo her origins and make her more linked to the Greek gods, which is where she gets her powers from, which makes more sense. They modernized a little bit some of their heroes, and this is different than what they did in what they did in the New 52. They kind of rolled that all back. So this what they do in this event sticks forever, kind of, because the other Superman kind of comes around and stuff. But Crisis on Infinite Earth. So this is super important. If you want to start reading DC and you don't want to start with the really, really classic stuff, start right here. Now what I want to do is bring out a bunch of comics that I think are great DC material, and I really think that. So I have some modern stuff, but a lot of the stuff that I'm going to pull out right now is right after Crisis on Infinite Earths, and that's why I think everybody should read this material, because I think it's really important to DC. And since we have the new DC universe coming with James Gunn, I just wanted to give some of my recommendations. So the first thing is this. This is Man of Steel by John Byrne. And this is also Marv Wolfman and Jerry Ordway and Dick Giordano. I think it's mostly John Byrne though, and I can't remember. I know he does the art in here. I think he's doing the writing as well. And John Byrne might also be on my Mount Rushmore of comic book creators as well. John Byrne, Marv Wolfman, Jerry Ordway are the writers, and then the pencilers are John Byrne and Jerry Ordway. Yeah, so John Byrne does the majority of this book, whether he's writing or doing, illustrating it. Excuse me. But let's start off with the first thing about this. It's really a shame that this is a hardcover. It's not an oversized hardcover. It's not the same size as, let's see here. Hold on, I kind of show this. It's not the same size as a deluxe hardcover. It's smaller. So that means it's smaller than an omnibus. I honestly don't know why they did it this way. I feel like they were trying this format out or wanted to see how well it would sell, or I don't know what it was. This is back when, omnibuses weren't as big as they are now, which, by the way, I could rant a whole thing about how great it is that omnibuses are selling really well now and that they're making so many of them, but I won't go into that right now. But man, I would buy this in a second in an omnibus form, and it would probably take 2 omnis to get all of this stuff in here. Right now it's 4 of these regular size hardcovers. And my main gripe with these, besides them not being oversized, is that the paper quality in here is not as good as you normally get in an omnibus, where it's glossy paper. This is and actually this is even worse paper quality than a normal comic book. So I'm not a big fan of these, honestly. Now, I'm a huge fan of the material in here. I'm a huge fan of what John Byrne and Marv Wolfman and stuff did with the retelling of the origin of Superman. And I think there's a lot of great stories in here, and this is a really good read. And yes, I have read this. There's Lex Luthor, and Lois Lane and all those characters, and Bizarro and everything like that. So, and look, I think there's his father there, Zor-El or whatever. So great stuff. And also the retelling of the death of Krypton, and you know, and John Byrne just kills it. Like, I love John Byrne just as much as I love George Perez, I think. And it's really great stuff. But yeah, I have to talk about the fact that I would love to have this in a more premium format. And like I said, the paper stock in here is literally, maybe they were trying to do it on a paper that was like closer to like newsprint, maybe. So maybe they did that purposely where they made it matte. But to me, the paper in here was disappointing. But anyway, forgetting the build quality and the fact that this should be an omnibus, everybody should read Man of Steel. If you're, like I said, if you've been mostly a Marvel reader and you want to get into DC and you want to start reading Superman, like where it matters, like where modern Superman begins, or I wouldn't say this where modern Superman begins, but like where the Superman that's still going in the comics really begins, it's right here, in Man of Steel. And these are awesome, and you can get these cheap because they're just regular size hardcovers. So yeah, Man of Steel is really awesome. I think every DC reader should read it. Okay, and then here's another one that came right after Crisis on Infinite Earths. This is Wonder Woman by George Perez. I think he wrote and drew Wonder Woman. So, like I said before, this another great place to start on one of the members of the Trinity, right? The Trinity is Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. Here's where you start Wonder Woman if you're just getting into DC, and it doesn't get much better than this because it's George Perez art and George Perez on the story, and it literally redoes her origins. There's Hermes, and there's Mount Olympus, I believe, and there's Ares and Zeus and all that stuff, and this goes into like the Greek gods, and it tells the origin of the Amazons, where they came from, why they have lost trust in man, and it makes way more sense than Wonder Woman's original story. I'm trying to remember what her original, like, how they explained her original powers, but here she's like actually related to the Greek gods, and that's what gives her powers. I don't remember all the details. Oh yeah, Steve Trevor's in here, of course. So it's taking all the stuff that was important about Wonder Woman, modernizing it a little bit, and then you have just beautiful art. Look at this art by George Perez, and there's Hermes, and I think this is a really proper origin for Wonder Woman, and I just really love this book. It's so much fun. It's amazing art. Wonder Woman's a really cool character. And there's 3 volumes of this. There you go. So that's where you start Wonder Woman. That's where you start Superman. Batman, I don't have the omnibus that I would... Well, yeah, there's like the Neil Adams era stuff. I don't have that omnibus, though. We are going to talk about some Batman today, but not the stuff that comes right after Crisis on Infinite Earths. I brought a more modern Batman up. But here's New Teen Titans. So again, this is one of the things, I believe this is before Crisis on Infinite Earths. But this run continues on after Crisis. And this was already being done by Marv Wolfman and George Perez. And this all stays. This is all... everything that happens in here is not retconned in Crisis on Infinite Earths. So you can kind of look at this as like, even though it's technically not before it, it's basically, it is. This is where the Teen Titans starts. All this stuff stays. All this stuff is part of the continuity. And one of the things I talked about last time was that Raven's origin story is, and look at this again. We got more George Perez art, so I could just sit here and stare at this all day. But I should get to a point in here where we see Trigon. There's Starfire. I love Starfire's hair. Look at her hair. It's freaking awesome, hon. And it's so cool because they make, like, when she flies, her hair like trails behind her in like a red like tail kind of like, or a trail of red, which I think is really cool. There she is there. All this this new Teen Titans run is really amazing. And like I said before, where Marvel had the X-Men, that was like their big seller, and I think that was really ahead of its time with Chris Claremont. I think that this material here was also ahead of its time, and this became one of their best sellers in that era as well. Teen Titans. This was the stuff that was pushing comics forward to like the next era. This is what it's going to be like now, and so this is, I think everybody should read the new Teen Titans, and we're going to get Teen Titans as part of the James Gunn DCU, which is really exciting because he seems like he's doing everything really comics accurate. And hold on, I think I'm clipping a little bit. Check. Yeah, I'm going a little bit in the red there. Hey, at least my audio is still on. But he's doing things really comics accurate. So if you want to go back and like see like, okay, what are the Teen Titans about? This is the Teen Titans that inspired the cartoon show that we all watched when we were kids. The good cartoon, not Teen Titans Go, because come on, like that one's nowhere near as good as the original. Oh, is that Zatanna in there? Is that Zatanna? I'm not sure who that is. Yeah, I think it is. Oh, yeah. So going back to Raven, she's an empath. She can kind of do similar to what Doctor Strange can, where she can kind of like go out of her body and teleport and stuff like that. But and here's Trigon. Her origin story is interesting. I'm surprised that they went with something so kind of dark for her origin story, because basically what happens is that Trigon, who is a demon, extremely powerful demon, still one of the most powerful characters in all of DC, basically, pretends, here he is, to be a human, and he has sex with Raven's mom, who he kind of tricks into believing it's a normal human, and that baby ends up being Raven. So it's kind of like a dark story. It's like being coerced into, intercourse so that you could sire his child. Is kind of a crazy origin story for a superhero. But I mean, I guess maybe there are crazier ones out there, but I always thought like, damn, that's pretty crazy. And it shows one of the issues in here. You actually see like what happened between the mother and Trigon when Trigon was pretending to be human. And I don't know, I remember reading it and be like, wow, that's pretty that's pretty messed up to like, look, this is really cool. Actually, I would love to get this to pick up this issue just for this cover, because it's George Perez, it's got Trigon on it, and it's got all the Teen Titans. This is a really cool cover. But anyway, yeah, I've read 3 out of the 5 Teen Titans omnibuses, these new Teen Titans books. So I haven't finished it yet. I have so many omnibuses to read. Like, just as a reminder, this is my omnibus collection. So I have most omnibuses that have come out. Obviously there's a lot of holes in that. This is when we're moving into, so there's some boxes around and stuff. But I have the 5 new Teen Titans omnibuses. I remember at one point these were very expensive, and I actually think I even paid a little bit more than I would probably pay now to get all 5 a while ago. I think they have all been reprinted though. If not all, then a lot of them have been reprinted. So you can. I'm sorry, but I don't know if these are still in print. But if you can get your hands on them, New Teen Titans is another really great DC book, and so this is another one coming right after Crisis on Infinite Earths that I think everybody should read. All right. Next we got this is Justice League International. This isn't right after Crisis. I think. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, there's definitely. I'm trying to remember if they have it collected in an omnibus. What the stuff that comes like right after Crisis on Infinite Earths, but this is, yeah, I think there is one that a lot of people don't like, so I never picked it up. Anyway, this is kind of where the Justice League starts for me, where I think it gets really good. And what's great about the Justice League International is that, look at the cover of this. You have so many characters that aren't just part of the Trinity. Like, you have Batman there, but there's no Superman, there's no Wonder Woman. You've got Mr. Miracle, Captain Atom. You've got Big Barda, Power Girl, Lobo. Wonder Woman's there, but she's not a main member of the team. Neither is Flash. Well, actually, yes, Flash is part of the team. But you've got oh my gosh, what's his name? The Green Lantern I hate the most, Guy Gardner. And the other day when I was doing this, I opened up right to the page where Batman punches Guy Gardner in the face, and I was really hoping I would do that again just now, but I guess not. Hold on, is it in here? Look, he's always fighting. I'm sorry, but Guy Gardner is the worst Green Lantern. He's the worst. He's a nuisance. He's always causing trouble. He's always like being hot-headed and flying off on his own, like not listening to the rest of the team. I don't know why some people say Guy Gardner is their favorite Green Lantern. I could not tell you. I freaking hate him, which is why I really love the panel in here. There's a panel where Batman just punches Guy Gardner in the face and knocks him out with one punch. And it is my favorite thing that happens in this entire omnibus. But going back to the team, there are so many different characters in here. Booster Gold and Blue Beetle. This is like the beginning of their relationship. Oh yeah, Mike says Justice League International is after the Legends event. Right. Hold on one second. Yeah, I was just trying to remember if there was another omnibus that contained like material I thought was important after Crisis on Infinite Earths, and I can't think of it. And because I don't have every DC Justice League omnibus, but I think I have. If I'm missing any, I'm missing like one, and that might be the one that comes in between. But I mean, this is '80s, right? Justice League International, I believe, is in the '80s. So it's a little bit after, but this, I mean, oh, look at that. There's a Martian Manhunter with Dr. Fate's helmet on. I did read this whole thing. I read it a while ago. I'm on the second volume now. And yeah, going back to what I was saying, I love the fact that it lets other characters kind of shine. That is something that I think traditionally, like, I think that DC doesn't do as good as Marvel in standing up their characters that are outside of like the Trinity, you know, are outside Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman. And not that they don't do it. Characters like Zatanna get a lot of mini series and stuff, but honestly, and look at this. There's like Fire and Ice on here. There's this horrible Green Lantern that I think is actually really funny. But I honestly think that DC would do. It would be so great if they would do like a 50 issue run of like Booster Gold and Blue Beetle, you know, not just like a little limited series that goes away after a while. They did something like that with the 52, which was another one where Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman were gone, and that was in like the first year of the New 52 or something like that, which I think was great. But anytime they prop up their other characters, I think is really awesome. And like the fact that they didn't have Superman and at least Superman on these teams, I think actually is a strength to it. Also, there's a lot of humor in this book, which I think if you were to tell me that before reading this, I might say, like, why would I want to read a Justice League book that has, you know, a bunch of humor in it? That I want to read about the Justice League being badass and being like, you know, I want it to be thrilling. This has that, but it has a little bit of humor mixed in, which I really like, and I think it's kind of a refreshing take on the Justice League. And I just love, like, again, I keep saying this, but I just love the fact that there's all these different characters on the Justice League. It's a really big league, and the art in here is really great too. Oh yeah, here's this dunce. I'm trying to remember what else happens in here. Oh, the Gray Man is in here. Uh, what else is in here? It's been a while since I've read this one. There's Lobo, Mr. Miracle. Oh yeah, this is like this is really the beginning of Booster Gold and Blue Beetle becoming like best friends and getting into all kinds of hijinks and stuff with each other. So yeah, I there's 3 of these now, and I think they're all. I've only read the first and then half the second one, but I'm loving Justice League International so far. So yeah, I highly recommend that. All right, and then this is now we're jumping way forward. This is a modern Batman book, but I just pulled this one off my shelf because I was like, I have to talk about this because this is The Rise and Fall of the Batman by James Tynion IV. It is his Detective Comics run. It has beautiful art. The whole thing. Look, if you look at Batwoman right there, the art in here is beautiful. This is a really this is when art and story really came together to make such an awesome run, and this focuses mostly on the Bat family. Actually, Batman himself takes a little bit of a backseat in here to like Tim Drake, Batwoman, Azrael. Spoiler. Who's is this? Spoiler over here? No, who's that? Oh, Batwing. That's right. I guess spoilers are on the cover. And then this is what's her name? I forget her name. She's basically Batgirl, but she doesn't talk very much. What is her name? Cassandra or something? I don't know. But it's all about the Bat family, and then the other thing is that they add a member to this team that you wouldn't expect, which is Clayface, and that adds all kind of complexity, and it actually is I think it's a really cool like plot device because Clayface can become anyone, and I just think it's like it was really cleverly written how they integrated Clayface into the team, and there's a lot of struggling with the fact that like, you know, Clayface may not be able to overcome this thing. Like when he turns into clay, it like does something to his brain that makes him very aggressive, and Batman doesn't really trust, you know, that much that, or Batwoman and some of the members of the team don't trust him very much because they're thinking at any moment he could snap, you know. And there's their spoiler. And there's this part's crazy where I actually, since I'm recommending this, I won't say what was going on in that panel because it's a big spoiler for something that happens to Tim Drake. But here they all are right here, and there's Clayface. Yeah, this run is just so good. I actually bought the omnibus, even though I read the whole thing in single issues when it was coming out. Or I shouldn't say that. I started reading at the back end of it, and then I was like, wow, this is so amazing. So I went back and I like got all the single issues that were part of this run in back issues, and then I read it from start to finish like that. But you know, so normally I buy my omnibuses because I want to read a run that I haven't read before. But with this, I was like, you know what? I just want to own this in premium format because I love it so much. It's the same thing with my Scott Snyder omnibuses, you know, his New 52 Batman run. I read that whole thing in like trades and in singles and whatever. But I'm probably never going to read it in the omnibus form because I've already read it like 2 or 3 times. But I like to have it as an omnibus just because it's like one of my favorite things. And omnibus are like the best way to own something. Oh, these are like the first victims, I think they call themselves. Something like that. They're the first, I think they're the first, is that what they are? The first victims? I don't know. But I love seeing new characters. These are new villains for Batman and the team to be fighting. A lot of new villains in here, actually. It's not just your Jokers and, you know, your Scarecrow and the guys that are always going up against Batman, which I know a lot of people kind of don't like that about Batman, that he's got a, you know, let's be honest, Batman has one of the best rogues galleries of any character. But those rogues, the Riddler, they get reused a lot by different authors. So it's nice and refreshing to have a run where that's not the case. But yeah, it's focus on the Bat family. They have the Belfry or whatever. They're at the top of this tower, which is their headquarters. And there's, I mean, James Tinian just squeezes in all this really really cool stuff to the run. Plus, there's a big conflict between Batwoman and Batman, and the art is really really beautiful. So I know that my review of this book, now that I'm looking back on it, was a little disjointed. I was kind of going off of random angles there, but that's that book. All right. The last thing I wanted to talk about real quick is the novels that we've been reading. I read a lot right now. I have like a lot of time to read comics, and I have so much to read that so much time to read, and we'll see how long it lasts. But that I've started reading some novels again too. I used to read a lot of novels when I was younger, and now I have so many comic books that most of my reading I do is comics. But I just got inspired to get back into reading novels, and the first one I read back is this one right here. This is Exodus, and it's by Peter F. Hamilton, and it was great. It's a little bit of a slow start, but there's such a good payoff at the end where everything comes together, and there's a big twist that I wasn't expecting, and it's this story. So it's going to be in the same universe as a game that's being made, right? So this is part one. There's going to be a second volume or not second volume, but a second book. And this story takes place like far in the future for humans. So something you have to have when you read this book is like a really good imagination, because some of the technology that they have, like this isn't like 100 years from now or even like 1,000 years from now. It's like 40,000 years from now. So their humans have evolved and like become, some of them have ascended into what they call celestials, and they are, they're almost a different species of human. And they like live forever by passing on their mind to their offspring, so they can, they take on the next body and the next body and the next body, whatever. And they've also genetically modified all kinds of animals and made genetic modifications to themselves so that their bodies aren't even like normal humans anymore. So it's like aliens, but they're not. They're all humans, but they've evolved so much that they're almost like aliens, and the technology is almost like magic, And so it really does. You have to like really use your imagination to like picture this whole world in your mind. But if you can do that, Peter F. Hamilton is a really great writer. I actually grabbed two of his other books from what's called his Commonwealth saga, because that book was so great. I was like, man, I gotta read some more Peter F. Hamilton. And yeah, he's a great writer. So I think the game has really good potential based on this world that he's created. And I think so I'm totally looking forward to that when that comes out now from reading the book. And I'm super looking forward to the next book of Exodus. And I'm definitely thinking that those other books I picked up are going to be good, because okay, going back to the story real quick, what this book does, which I haven't I'm not saying it hasn't been done in sci-fi before, in a sci-fi book. I'm sure it has, but I've never read a book that for all the advancements of this civilization that the book takes place in, they're still grounded in real science. And there's an important factor to the story is the effects of time dilation. So when characters are traveling away from a planet at near the speed of light, time for them moves more slowly. So what might be a month to them is like 3 years back home. So they go away and they come back, and major changes have happened to the people that they left behind. They've had kids, they've gotten married, there's new people in power, whatever. Or it might be 20 years, and people live longer at this stage. They live to be like 180 or something. But the story takes place over like probably like 50 years or something, or because for the main character that's traveling, he's not it's not 50 years isn't taking place for him, but like outside of his travels, everyone else time is passing like normal for them. And the author does a really good job of like making a story that connects these two things, the relative times for all the characters, uh all comes together. And I just think that that was really clever writing. And that's something that's going to be a part of the game too. And the game is called Exodus, I think. Right? What's the game called? Yeah, Exodus: Become the Traveler or something. Anyway, so I'm reading that. The other stuff I'm reading. Oh, I didn't bring it up here, but I'm reading the first book of The Expanse, and which was a TV show, which I watched a little bit of, but I'm reading the books now, and I think the books will be even better. I only watched the very beginning of the Expanse show, but I know a lot of people like it. And I'm reading the first book of Wheel of Time, which has been pretty good so far as well. It has had a slow start, but I think I've gotten more into it. It's ramped up as I've read through it. I'm about halfway through the first book of Wheel of Time, and my wife has been reading this series, starting with Throne of Glass. She reads some books in English, but she reads some in Spanish because she just reads a lot faster in Spanish. So she has the Spanish versions of these books, and my wife will read like 3 books to my one. She reads like so much faster than me. She read this in like less than a week, like days, and this is a huge book, a huge softcover book. So. And she's been really liking it. So although I haven't read this, I think that my wife would definitely recommend this run by Sarah J. Maas, who has so many books out and seems to be such a popular author. I'm not surprised that she has really gotten into this. She's on like I guess she's on the 4th book now, and there's like 7 of these. So I've been ordering those books really quick because she keeps reading them so fast. But anyway, if you stumble upon this VOD, or if you've joined and watched during my live, and you have anything that in the realm of comics and pop culture and you know DC, Marvel, or anything like that, or Image Comics, or anything that you would like to see me talk about in a live or in one of my future videos, please leave a comment. Like I always say, I'm trying to get on this schedule of streaming Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays, and just talking about comic books, talking about like my recommendations of omnibuses, because I have this huge library of omnibuses that I'm constantly reading. And I used to do some TikTok lives, and I'd have some people in there that were like asking, where's a good place to start on Spider-Man, or where's a good place to start on X-Men, or what, yada yada. And I think I can make some pretty good recommendations based on just reading my omnibus collection for a very long time, and collecting all these books. And so I'm always trying to just like kind of connect with the community, and share my knowledge of this stuff, and recommend things to people, and get more people into the hobby, especially when it comes to omnibus collecting. Omnis have really become much more popular lately, which has been really great to see. They reprinted a lot of books that were really hard to get. I mean, we used to have whales in the omnibus collecting hobby that were like, $500, $600, $700 or something to get one of these books, and they've gone and reprinted them, which is great because we don't care about volume or edition. We don't care about edition in omnibus collecting. We just want to get it for a good price. We just want these books in our collection, which another thing that I think is really great about the hobby, and it's something that's been kind of untouched by scalpers and stuff like that. So, yeah, super happy to see the omnibus collecting industry, or the omnibus collecting hobby, grow. The other thing is that I talked about this yesterday, but I've been having a hard time finding a good source for omnibuses, like to know when the new ones are coming out. And what I do is I use League of Comic. yeah, I use League of Comic Book Geeks .com, and I go to the new comics, and I go to other refinements omnibuses, because and then this shows you all the omnibuses that come out each week, because I've used organic price books and some of these other ones, cheap graphic novels, these other what's the other one, in stock trades, and their stuff on the dates of the omnibuses coming out isn't always up to date. And this stuff, this on League of Comic Geeks, is usually up to date. And so I actually was building my own website to keep track of this stuff and to like be able to put omnibuses in reading order and all that stuff, and to be able to search omnibus by character, which I haven't found. If there's a really good place that tracks all the omnibuses coming out, what their dates are, reading orders, all that stuff that's out there on the internet already, please leave a comment and let me know. But for right now, I think this is the best way to keep track of what what omnibuses are coming out. I am going to be buying this Daredevil, the John by how do you say this, Nascenti and John Romita Jr. I do want to buy this Dead Man Omni. I already purchased the Doctor Strange Master of the Mystic Arts Omni. I'm reading the Silver Age Omnis. I think they're really good. Doctor Strange is actually pretty good for Silver Age comics, and that means they're not that great, but for Silver Age, I think Doctor Strange is one of the better ones, and so it'll be cool to kind of connect the Doctor Strange Silver Age to this, and then after this, eventually get to the Doctor Strange Omnis that are in the 90s, which I do have those as well. And then what else do we have coming out here soon? Ultimate Fantastic Four. I'm not sure if I'm going to pick that up. I have some of the Ultimate X-Men books and stuff like that. I have all the Ultimate Spider-Man. I don't know anything about Ultimate FF. I guess I'll have to go watch Near Mint Conditions of his great videos that he does on omnibuses to figure out if I'm going to buy this one. But as of right now, I'm not sure. Web of Spider-Man, I guess it's going to have... Is this from Kraven's Last Hunt, this image? I was just wearing that yesterday, that shirt. I'm still not sure if I'm going to get Web of Spider-Man. I am going to buy X-Men Fatal Attractions. I have all the omnibuses that are part of the main X-Men run, like the main X-Men story. Like, I don't have every X title. Like, I don't have every X Factor. I have some X Factor Omnis, but I don't have every X Factor Omni. I don't have every X Force Omni. And some of the other X titles like Excalibur. But all of the, chronological X-Men Omnis that are part of the main Uncanny X-Men run, I do have. So I'm going to keep that going with Fatal Attractions. Oh, do not sleep on the Old Republic Omnibus. I didn't finish reading this yet, but I started it, and it's so freaking good. It's a shame that I think it's only going to be contained in this one Omni, because I think it's like the whole run. And it's Legends, right? So it's not canon. But man, I know that's off-putting to a lot of people to read a Star Wars Omni that's not canon, but I think it's worth it. I started reading it, and it was so freaking good. And the only reason I put it down is because something else I'd been waiting for longer came, and I ended up, and I just have to go back to it and finish reading it. But I remember just being like, wow, this is like, I don't know what convinced me to buy it eventually. It must have been a near mint condition video or something, or someone else's review, but I did decide to buy it, and I read it, and it's awesome. So yeah, that's actually one on my list that I have to go back to soon and finish reading. But don't sleep on that one. It's really great. And then what else we have coming up here in March? I don't buy the Golden Age omnibuses. I can't go back that far in my reading. I just can't do it. But Remender is a great writer. Remender has his own comic book format. They're like bigger than Omnis, but they're smaller than Absolutes. But I have his Black Science library editions. I guess that's what they are, library editions. And I have his Fear Agent library editions. And I have some of the other stuff. I have some other omnibuses with Remender on them. I'm a big Remender fan. I also read Low, which was really good, by Remender. He does sci-fi. I think he does a really good job at that. Yeah, he gets a little tropey, but I'm all for it. I think if you use tropes but you do them well, then I'm fine with that. And so I'm sure that his Punisher run is good. Oh, he also has Deadly Class. which I have the compendium with that whole thing in it, which I think I've started reading that. That was pretty cool. But yeah, so I didn't know about this run, but I see like Punisher, which is a cool character, and I see Remender, and I'm like, okay, I'm probably gonna pick that up. And then going into April, we have Secret War. I don't know anything about that. Um, and then not really interested in anything here. This is also very recent stuff. So that's kind of where I'm going in terms of omnis that I'm going to be picking up in the future. I think that's one of the things that I want to start doing in my lives more often is talking about the omnis that are in my collection, but also talking about the omnis that are coming up that I'm excited for and why I'm excited for them. And again, if you have any questions about omnibuses, I probably have them in my collection, so I can probably talk about them. So leave a comment and let me know. Uh, but I think yeah, I think that's gonna be it for today. If you've made it this far, like thank you so much for watching, or if you've watched the VOD or whatever it is. Uh, I want to get more engagement in my the community on YouTube, and a like and a subscribe would be very appreciated, and let me know what you want me to talk about in the future, and yeah,